Hey everyone, welcome back from spring break. Um, I am going to start with a brief overview of this week's work. It is due May 2nd, which is Saturday. And we're going to start in Google Classroom. You can see we have the classwork page. Right here, you're going to go to the online learning folder and you're going to click on this one-pager document. So this is something that I started the week before we went on break, and it'll be a rolling document similar to our open doc where all of the one-pagers moving forward to the end of the school year for each week will be included with the most recent week on top. So right here we have table of contents, very similar, the same actually as to our open doc. So if I wanted to click on a week that I needed to go back in time to review or refresh, I would click on the bookmark, the link, and it would take me down to the previous weeks, whichever one I wanted to take a look at. So I'm back up here. I'm at the April 27th to May 2nd one, which is right here. Um, Everything is located in this open doc. It is not an assignment. Everything is located in this one pager. This one pager is not an assignment. It is a resource page. It's like a go-to holding place that lets you know exactly what you have due. I even give you some suggestions for when I would work on it. So I'm looking at this week, and similar to most weeks, there are 4 different things that I have to be responsible for. They're all due Saturday, May 2nd at 8 p.m. The first one is, like all the weeks before us, the open doc. So I would go there first, okay? But before we do that, we're going to preview the rest of the assignments that are due this week. The next assignment will be setting aside about 30 minutes of time to read. This week is different for reading. I've divided chapter 6, which is the chapter that we'll be reading for this week. I've divided it into slices, or like slices of a pizza, or sections. And each section, you will take a section that you want, and you will be responsible for that slice or that section of chapter 6. So really, it's all you are responsible for this week. You will create a Google slide presentation using a template that I've given you or assigned with your name on it in Google Classroom as a presentation of your interpretation of your slice or part of chapter 6. And then you will also complete a brief writing reflection. Before you do that, though, so we know that that's kind of like on the plate for this week. We're reading our slices. Here are the 5 different sections or slices. I've already made them. These are links to all of them. Again, you're only responsible for one of them, the one that you choose. They're each about 5 to 8 pages in length. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's really easy. That's really short. That's not very long. You're right. However, the lesson for this week is a deep dive into a specific section of reading and to really do a deep analysis using the tools that you already have learned and applying them to a very small, specific section of text. And then you have ownership over that specific section of text, and you're using your analytical thinking, critical reading skills that you already know from this year and years previous to complete your Google slideshow presentation on just your section. So let's see. There will be part of this video is taking a look at how to do the Google slideshow presentation using the template that I've already assigned to you in Google Classroom, and then finally submitting a Google form with a brief writing response. I've given you the time that I think, estimated time that it's going to take you to do each of these assignments. I've given you when I suggest doing them. You don't have to do it on those dates. but knowing that you are working out over 6 days, this is what I suggest. We're going to start first, as we always do, with the open doc. And this is really a collection. This is why I like this. It's a collection of our work together as a critical thinking community of people who are really digging through this book all the way back from the week of March 18th. And if you want to, you can click on this little bookmark and that'll take you to the very first week of our open doc, back to chapters 1 and 2. This week we are working with what's on the top of this open doc, which is chapter 6. I call it the split version because really you are working in those slices. You can read this on your own. It's sort of what I just talked through. The directions as well, I suggest going back and reading these on your own, but I'm going to talk through them. This will look familiar to previous weeks. You have your 3 columns. You have the column that you start with. You have the middle column where you do your response, and then you have the lavender or orchid or purple color column where you would choose someone else's second and first column, read them, and then agree, disagree, or add on to them, or question. Some of you have been doing some questioning of other people's work, which is excellent. So all this is pre-made. I basically did the first part of this for you. So I have already divided this column into the 5 different slices. So here they are, and then it repeats because obviously there are more than 5 people. We have many, many people, so it just repeats. So you will select, and it is kind of first come, first serve in a way, but you will take slice 1 through 5. You decide which one. So say I want to do 2. So I'm signing up as person 2. I'm going to put my name here. And I could click on this link, and guess what? It's going to bring me to the slice that I'm responsible for reading. This is slice 2. It ends right here. So definitely scroll down until you see the writing. That's where I begin, and then this looks like where I end, right? So follow my writing notes in the text. So before I read, I actually don't have to read this yet. I'm going to go back to, sorry about this, you can tell, as usual, I have many open windows. I'm going to go back to the open doc. Again, you don't have to read in order to do the open doc, not yet. You're only taking a look at the first sentence and the last sentence of your slice. And I've already done that work for you. I have typed it out. And your job is to analyze those 2 sentences in front of you in this column and make a prediction. So you're thinking, in order to make a prediction, you have to think back to the universal ideas that you think are at play in this book. Use the title as a jumping off point, always running. Think about the themes that we've discussed. Think about what you already know of the book. Go back here. A through E, up in the directions part, are really some great prompts for you to begin to craft your prediction. So if I were you, I would read the first and last sentence in column 1. I would go up here. I would choose like 3, 4, 5 of these to respond to in column 2. So the prediction is considering the first and last sentence, right? You have to have that, hold that in your brain first. Then you have to hold in your brain, okay, what do I already know about this book, about Luis Rodriguez, about the themes and the universal ideas? So you combine those 2 in your brain and you think about, okay, what is going to be an evidence-based prediction, right? You're not just, it's using what you already know of the book and what you think may come ahead in your slice. And then I would jump into the slice. I would read it and take notes as you read. And then I would go back into Google Classroom, and you are going to look for this post right here. So everyone will have a Google slide template with their name on it. This will already be assigned to you. It is not an open doc, only you have access to it. And then when you share it with me, when you turn it in to me on Google Classroom, I will obviously as well. The very first slide is sort of like your direction slide, and to remind you, this is a template. If you want to follow it exactly, you may. If you don't want to follow it exactly, you may. The only thing I ask is that if you notice here, like somewhere you have this information. You make a title, you include your name so I know it's you, and you include your slice number. That somewhere you have this information, a context, the background. Somewhere you have the answer to this, or the response or thinking, you're thinking to this. And then same for the rest of the questions. So there are 8 total slides. This is what I don't want. What I don't want is just for you to be like, I don't have any, right? So you're really forcing yourself to think, look, it doesn't ask, do you have questions about chapter 6 or the slice? It asks, what questions do you have? So if you're really truly authentic to that question and answering it authentically to that question, you will have to identify questions that you have, right? So we're focused on really answering our questions specifically. What is this slice about, Luis? Well, right, but I want some more detail. So in order to provide a good teaching or a good, which is essentially what you're doing, you're teaching others about this slice of chapter 6. How would you show or convey what your slice is about? That's what this is saying. So every time I go to make a slide presentation for class, I use this every day in class and in our Zoom calls. I think about what I want the audience, my audience, you, to take away from my presentation. And I think about how to put images together, colors together, fonts together, and the design of it. And I do put a fair amount of time into creating the design, the colors, the text, the font, and how much I would have text or writing on a slide, and how much I would have visuals or pictures, images. So you are the creator, you are the designer, and that's what's so interesting about this assignment. It's really tasking you to get creative and think outside the box. So what is this slice about? Maybe you want to have a song attached in there. And that song is really, what this is about. Maybe you want to have images or a film clip, or words just all over. So you get to decide in your head. You have to know first, though, what it's about. Then you can get creative when you're conveying what it's about to someone else. Okay, so what do you want people to understand? Again, why does this slice matter? Why does this 5 pages of text matter in the world? Notice I didn't say matter to what. So matter to you. What does it matter to Luis? What does it matter for us today as readers? You get to decide how to answer that question, and you get to decide how it looks in the presentation when you answer that question. That's what makes this week's assignment challenging, but also, I hope, fun. It's challenging because it's forcing you to think outside the box, to get creative, to put your design hat on, to be the own creator of thoughts that you have about the 5 to 7 to 8 pages of text. So again, you're digging deep into those pages of text. Okay, so when the gist of this is, when you work through this, you're really thinking about those design elements. So